Students, how are you everybody? I hope you have watched my previous videos on investment accounts. In this video, we discuss hire purchase and installment sale transactions chapter. Before discussing this chapter, we try to understand what is the background or history for this chapter. Are you ready? Now look at it. As a chartered accountant student or as a common man, we should first try to understand how many ways or how many systems that we have for purchase and sale of goods. As you know very well, the first and foremost system that we have for purchase or sale of goods or services is barter system. Under this system, what happened? Exchange of goods with goods or exchange of goods with services. This system is gone. Next, cash system. Under this system, what happens? There are two parties, seller and buyer. Seller is having some goods and buyer having cash. What happens? Seller sells goods and buyer pays cash immediately. That means in this transaction, in this system, if you want to buy any goods or service, you have to pay cash immediately. Okay, so in this type of transaction, cash flows immediately, and we know how to record this transaction in the books of accounts. Next one, credit system. See, by passage of time, human beings, they are ready to purchase the goods, but whereas payment, cash, it is not backed up by this cash. So that credit system is introduced. Under credit system, what happens? Look at seller and buyer, two parties again. Seller first sells goods to the buyer. So he sells goods to the buyer, and seller allows 1 month credit period. Okay. After a month, buyer pays cash to him. That means under this system, what happens? First, goods are sold to the customers. After a certain period of time, we receive cash. Yes or no? Okay. Now, another system we have, that is sale of goods on approval or return basis. You know very well what is the concept behind this chapter. We'll discuss again. Under this system also there are two parties, seller and buyer. Under this system, seller first he sends, not sale, he sends goods to the buyer first. And earlier credit system, seller allowed 1 month credit period, okay, for payment. But under this system, seller gives some time. For what purpose? For approval or return of the goods. If you approve the goods, then only you have to pay the cash. Otherwise, it is better to return the goods. If you observe, all e-commerce businesses runs on this basis. Excuse me. See, suppose you purchased any product in Amazon. If you like the product, then you can keep it with yourself. Otherwise, you can return within a stipulated time period. Based on the product, they allow some 7 days time, 14 days time, 15 days, 30 days, maximum 30 days. Some products, they may not have the possibility of returning goods. Yes or no? So here also same. So within this stipulated time, let us assume within due date, you are returning goods. That means you need not to pay cash. Why? Because there is an option that either approve or return. So we have chosen that goods are returned or rejected. So that we are returning goods, you need not to pay any cash. Suppose you have accepted the goods. Within due date, you approved the goods. Then you have to pay cash to the seller. So this happens in case of sale of goods on approval or return basis, and we have seen the accounting treatment or the accounting entries for this concept in CA Foundation. Next up, we have another system called consignment basis. See, all these possibilities are for selling of goods to the customers. Yes or no? Do remember. Next, see, the seller always in search of many ways to sell the goods. Okay. Next, under consignment basis, what happens? Seller appoint one person as his agent. So here what happens? Seller sends goods to his agent first. Okay. So after sending goods to the agent, now the seller becomes consignor. Now character names change. Characters are not changing, character name is changing. Seller, we are calling him as consignor, and buyer we are calling him as consignee. Sorry, not buyer, agent, consignee. Okay, goods sent on consignment basis. Okay, now this consignee sells goods to the buyers, customers, on behalf of whom? Consignor. Yes or no? So try to understand. Now consignee sold goods to buyer on behalf of consignor. So buyer pays cash first to whom? Consignee. Later on, consignee remit this cash to consignor. Sir, what is the benefit for consignee here? Consignor pays some commission to the consignee. That is a benefit for consignee for acting as agent of consignor. So this happens in case of consignment business. Yes or no, students? So till here, I hope you understood what are the different ways that we have for selling of goods. You may ask one doubt, sir, what is the why you are discussing all these concepts? Is it really related to hire purchase and installment transaction? Yes, students, it is related. Okay, so till here I hope you understood, and till here we have seen the accounting treatment in CA foundation level. Now we discuss the further concept. After understanding what are the ways for purchase and sale of goods, now we try to understand a small concept about goods. In economic subject, you observe that the goods are classified into various categories. We are not going in depth of that concept. We are just looking this. Okay, look at it. Consumer goods. We can divide the goods into consumer goods, at the same time producers goods. Consumer goods, that means what? Directly we can consume them. Examples: food, clothes, TVs, electronic items. To put it simple, these are the finished units which can be directly used by the consumer. And another one is producer goods. Producer goods. What is the meaning of producer goods? And to produce the consumer goods, whatever the inputs we use, they are called as producer goods. I will give you simple example. See, mobile phone is a consumer good. Directly we consume that product. Whereas to consume this product, this should be first manufactured. For manufacturing of mobile, whatever the inputs we use, they are called as producer goods. I will give you one more example. See, shirt. This is consumer good. Why? Because this we can consume, use directly. But to produce this, the manufacturer of cloth, he used the raw material, unstitched cloth. That unstitched cloth is called producer goods. I hope you understood this concept of consumer goods and producer goods. Now come to consumer goods. We'll discuss about consumer goods now. Consumer goods, again we can divide it into fast moving consumer goods and durable goods. FMCG. So you heard this name, FMCG, fast moving consumer goods. All these are what? Groceries, fruits, vegetables. So these can be consumed single use. To put it simple, single use. Okay. Now let us assume we have eaten food. Okay. This is what? Single use only. So these are called fast moving consumer goods. Come to durable goods. To put it simple, these we can use for multiple times. Okay. Now electronic items, automobiles, all this comes under durable goods. Okay. I hope you understood this concept of goods. Fine. Now we'll discuss about installment system. What is this installment system? See, I will give you one example. So visualize a situation like this. Okay. మీరు ఒక పెద్ద షాపింగ్ మాల్కి వెళ్ళారనుకోండి. అక్కడ ఒక పట్టు శారీ చూసాము. దాని కాస్ట్ అరౌండ్ 10,000 అనుకోండి. ఇప్పుడు ఈ శారీ కొనటానికి నా దగ్గర డబ్బులు లేవు. నేనేం చేస్తాను అంటే ఆ సెల్లర్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో షాప్ కీపర్ వాళ్ళ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి, సార్ ఈ శారీ ఇప్పుడు నేను కొంటాను, బట్ అమౌంట్ అనేది మొత్తం నేను ఇప్పుడు పే చేయలేను, ఎవ్రీ మంత్ కొంత అమౌంట్ పే చేస్తాను అని అంటే ఆ షాప్ కీపర్ ఇమీడియట్గా ఏమంటారండి, సార్ మా దగ్గర అలాంటి స్కీమ్స్ ఏమీ లేవండి, మీకు శారీ కావాలి అంటే టోటల్ 10,000 పే చేయండి, శారీ తీసుకొని వెళ్ళండి. ఓకేనా? ఇదే కదా అనేది. ఓకే, ఫైన్. నౌ కమ్ టు హోమ్. ఇప్పుడు ఇదే శారీ మీ చుట్టుపక్కల ఎవరైనా, ఇప్పుడు చాలా మంది చుట్టుపక్కల శారీ బిజినెస్ చేస్తున్నారు, బట్ అక్కడ ఇదే శారీని మనం ఇన్స్టాల్మెంట్లో తీసుకోవచ్చా లేదా? ఒకసారి మీరు గమనించండి, ఆలోచించండి. ఇప్పుడు తన దగ్గరికి శారీ ఎవరైతే సేల్ చేస్తున్నారో వాళ్ళ దగ్గరికి వెళ్దాము, ఒక శారీ చూస్ చేసుకుంటాము. ఇప్పుడు దీన్ని మేము ఇన్స్టాల్మెంట్లో ఇస్తాము అంటే తను ఒప్పుకుంటుంది. ఎందుకని? బికాజ్ మీరు ఆమెకి తెలుసు. బట్ అదే పెద్ద షాపింగ్ మాల్ వాళ్ళకి ఆ పాలసీ ఉండదు, క్రెడిబిలిటీ చెక్ చేసుకునే ఫెసిలిటీ ఉండదు. కాబట్టి పెద్ద షాపింగ్ మాల్స్లో మనకి ఈ ఇన్స్టాల్మెంట్ సిస్టమ్ అనేది నార్మల్గా కొన్ని ప్రోడక్ట్స్కి ఉండదు, బట్ అదే కొన్ని చోట్ల ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ ఇంకొక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ తీసుకుందాం. మొబైల్ ఫోన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ తీసుకుందాం. మొబైల్, ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ షోరూమ్కి వెళ్ళండి. అక్కడ మీరు ఏదైనా ఒక ప్రోడక్ట్ తీసుకోండి, మొబైల్ ఫోన్ కానీ, రెఫ్రిజిరేటర్స్ కానీ, ఏసీస్ కానీ, ఇంకా ఏదైనా ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ ప్రోడక్ట్ తీసుకోండి. లెట్ us say దిస్ మొబైల్ ఫోన్ కాస్ట్ ఈస్ 24,000. ఒక 24,000 ఈ మొబైల్ ఫోన్ కాస్ట్ అనుకుందాం. సో ఇప్పుడు ఈ మొబైల్ ఫోన్ కొనాలని నాకుంది, బట్ అమౌంట్ పే చేసే కేపబిలిటీ నా దగ్గర లేదు, మొత్తం అమౌంట్ పే చేసే కేపబిలిటీ నా దగ్గర లేదు. ఇప్పుడు ఇదే ఇంతకు ముందు రోజుల్లో అయితే నీ దగ్గర అమౌంట్ ఉంటేనే మొత్తం అమౌంట్ పే చేయి, ప్రోడక్ట్ తీసుకొని వెళ్ళు. బట్ ఇప్పుడు పరిస్థితి ఎలా అయిపోయింది అంటే నీ దగ్గర అమౌంట్ లేదా, అయినా పర్వాలేదు, ఫస్ట్ అయితే ప్రోడక్ట్ తీసుకెళ్ళండి, యూజ్ చేయండి, అమౌంట్ ఏముంది ఇన్స్టాల్మెంట్స్లో పే చేసుకోండి, మంత్లీ కొంత అమౌంట్ పే చేయండి అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ వచ్చింది ఇప్పుడు. ఓకే, చూడండి, ఇప్పుడు ఇదే అమౌంట్ నేను 12 ఇన్స్టాల్మెంట్స్లో పే చేస్తాను అంటే పర్ మంత్ నేను ఎంత పే చేయాలండి? 2,000 రూపీస్ పే చేయాలి. అంటే ఒక మొబైల్ ఫోన్ కొంటున్నాను, ఇట్స్ ఎ కన్జ్యూమర్ గూడ్స్ అండ్ దట్ టు డ్యూరబుల్ గూడ్స్ విచ్ వీ కెన్ యూస్ ఫర్ మల్టిపుల్ టైమ్స్. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు మొత్తం టోటల్ అమౌంట్ 24,000. టు పే దిస్ 24,000 ఐ డోంట్ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ మనీ. Okay, right, but I entered into an agreement with the shopkeeper that this total amount is paid in 12 equal installments. How much? 2,000 rupees per month. Some products, some people, see, you heard this word, you have seen in those showrooms, 0% finance or 0% interest. That means what? They don't charge any interest for this transaction, 24,000 rupees. Simply they charge some processing fees. Okay, so that now you tell me, consumer will buy this product immediately. Why? Because the amount can be paid in installment. So this is one of the way to sell the products to the consumers. So this system is called installment system. Here there are some advantages as well as some disadvantages. Advantages, what? Consumer can buy and use that product. Without paying total amount. Yes or no? And what is the advantage for the seller? Seller is selling, he can cope up his sales and he receives the same amount in installments. Okay, so this is the advantage for both the people. At the same time, there are some disadvantages. What are the disadvantages? Look at, suppose if buyer fails to pay the installment amount, then what are the consequences? So suppose as a buyer, if you fail to pay the amount to the seller, suppose you failed to pay one installment or two installments, then what are the options available with the seller? He can only recover the installment amount only. He does not have any right to repossess the product. This is the main disadvantage under installment system. What? Suppose if you fail to pay the amount, the seller has only the right to recover that amount only. He doesn't have any right to repossess the product. So he cannot come to your home, and he should not compel you to surrender the product. You take any consumer goods, that means any electronic item. Just visualize mobile phone, AC, refrigerator, TV, washing machines, whatnot. Any product you buy, you pay the amount in installments, and if you fail to pay the amount in installment, the seller, he doesn't have any right to repossess the goods. Yes or no? This is the biggest drawback in the installment system. Try to understand this concept. Now, under this installment system, as a seller, I am selling goods, but the amount is not received in full. So what is the accounting treatment for this transaction? It is a transaction. Installment system is a transaction. So what is the accounting what is the accounting treatment for this transaction of installment system? That we should understand. Here we are selling the goods without receiving the total amount, but the amount which we receive is in installments. So how do you record these transactions in the books of accounts? That we should learn in this chapter. This is installment system. What is the biggest drawback in installment system? Tell me. It is not possible to repossess the product. This is the biggest drawback in installment system. So this drawback of repossessing goods. Otherwise, this installment system is good. Till what time? Till the buyer pays the amount without fail. Once the buyer pays the amount, once the buyer fails to pay the amount, then what is the drawback here? Repossessing the goods. Now, this drawback of installment system gives birth to hire purchase system. So what is the drawback in installment system? Repossession of the goods. So this gives birth to the hire purchase system. So this hire purchase system is similar to installment system, but what is the difference here? The buyer pays the amount in installments, whereas if buyer fails to pay installment amount, then the seller has the right to repossess the goods. So its installment system is extended here. Okay, that is hire purchase system. So if the seller has this right, then he can sell as many products as he wants to the buyer. Now we discuss about this hire purchase system. So to look after to look after these type, it is also a type of transaction. Do remember, it is also a type of transaction, right? So to look after this hire purchase system, we have an act called the Hire Purchase Act. The Hire Purchase Act 1972. I think you never heard this act, the Hire Purchase Act 1972. Why? Because as a seller, I am selling the goods. I am passing the possession of goods to other person. So when he fails to pay the amount, I should get the right to repossess the goods. That's why an act is introduced, that is the Hire Purchase Act 1972. Now tell me, under this hire purchase system, what happens? Seller sells the goods to the buyer. Only the possession is transferred. Here, possession is transferred. Possession of goods is transferred. Whereas the legal right, legal ownership, we'll call it as legal ownership. Legal ownership is not transferred. Legal ownership is not transferred. But under installment system, what happens? I am transferring the possession and I am also transferring the legal rights. So that is the drawback of this installment system. But under this hire purchase system, what happens? I am transferring the possession and I am allowing you to use the product also. But whereas I am not transferring the legal ownership to him, to you. Understood? When the legal ownership is not transferred, at any point of time, till you repay the last installment, I can repossess the goods. If you fail to pay any installments, I have the right to repossess the goods. Why? I am not transferring the legal ownership to you. I will give you best example for this system. Look at two-wheeler or four-wheeler. Two-wheeler or four-wheeler. Let us assume I have purchased a two-wheeler. I can buy this two-wheeler or four-wheeler by directly paying spot cash. Or else what I can do? I can buy the product through finance to pay the amount in installments. Right. Okay. After purchasing this two-wheeler, RTA will issue RC, registration certificate. On the back of this RC, you can find the words hypothecated to. If you are having this two-wheeler or four-wheeler RC, on the back of that, you can observe there are some words that hypothecated to. Hypothecated to so and so finance company. So and so finance company. That means what? This product is financed by so and so company. So you are having the possession and you can use this product, but it is not possible to transfer to sell this product to some other people. That's the word hypothecated to. Once you clear the loan, then you get the ownership. This happens under hire purchase system. So as a seller, I transfer the goods, I transfer the possession, I am allowing you to use the product, but I am not transferring legal ownership. Till the last payment, last installment, the ownership is in my hands. After payment of last installment, now I transfer the ownership to you. If you fail to pay any installment, I have the right to repossess my goods. This is called hire purchase system. This is also a transaction. Here I am not selling goods for cash basis. I am selling goods under installment basis. Okay. Now I receive the amount in installments. So how the accounting treatment? What is the accounting treatment for this hire purchase system? That we should learn. Hope you understood the basic history of this hire purchase and installment sale transaction. In the next videos, we try to understand what is this hire purchase system exactly, what is the meaning, who are the parties to the hire purchase transaction, and what is the accounting treatment, what are the advantages, disadvantages, what is the difference between this hire purchase and installment system, and what is the accounting treatment in the books of both the parties, hire purchaser and hire vendor. All these things we'll discuss in the next videos. If you like this video, then subscribe my channel, like, share and comment, and don't forget to click bell icon. We meet again in the next video, students. Till then, bye bye everybody.